20 years is going to be a tremendous transformation of health and medicine. There's already fantastic therapies, and I could talk a long time about it, to overcome heart disease, cancer, and really every other disease, neurological diseases, based on reprogramming this outdated software. But the key point is it's now exponential. It used to be linear. That was useful. I talked to some junior high school students not too long ago and said if it hadn't been for the progress we've made, you all would be senior citizens, because life expectancy was 20 1,000 years ago. We've quadrupled it in 1,000 years. We've doubled it in 200 years. This will go into high gear between 10 and 20 years from now. Probably less than 15, but we'll be reaching that tipping point where we add more time than is going by because of ongoing scientific progress.
Kurzweil is awesome, true genius, but during this lockdown, I mean, it's literally got to have the founding fathers of this country rolling over in their graves sideways. Aside of the financial genius that our president thinks he is, I think the real crisis going on is basically that they're broke. I mean, all his money is really is debt, credit, and taxes. The gold standard, the silver standard, that's, been gone for a long time now. I mean, for a while, they've just been running on what they're printing up, period. I think they printed way too many billions up to keep the system going. The only thing that generates more money is the debt they create.
My colleagues at the Federal Reserve and I are dedicated to serving the American people. Today, we decided to lower interest rates.
We give them the ability to generate, these trillions that ain't there with our use of the credit cards. When they need more money, they just simply gotta hand out more credit. We really dodged the bullet into going into a depression back in 2009 when Obama was running things. The only way he was really able to get the big corporations out of their trouble was to turn around and get all the students in debt. In reality, there's only $4.5 trillion that exist. But there's $225 trillion in debt. So only $4.5 trillion even exists to pay the $225 trillion that's debted out. At some point, this house of cards has got to crumble. So our whole financial system has been on the verge of collapse for decades. I don't see how it can be turned over to this new generation and be expected to be anything. And that's what I really think that this whole coronavirus is all about. That they don't want to sit and keep it real with us and admit that basically they're broke. That they've messed up the money and they're desperate. They're never going to admit they were wrong and give up the reins of power that they have now. And I think we're underestimating exactly to what lengths they're willing to go through to keep them reins of power going. Now, I've featured these people on my channel before. It's Deagle.com. You can look up the statistics for yourself, but according to them, within the next, 10 years or 5 years, they're predicting like an unprecedented number of people that are going to be gone. Over 14 million in Canada, 227 million in the US, and almost 62 million in India. I don't know where they expect all these people to be going off to.
Taking some time to make sure that our children have the opportunity to live good lives too. I have lived a good life. I have lived a good life.
global COVID death toll tonight tops 650,000. What's coming could be far worse. The World Food Program and 3 other UN agencies predict mass starvation because of COVID's disastrous economic impact. The UN agencies say 140 million people around the world on the brink of starvation now could rise to a staggering 270 million this year.
If we don't get a social safety net program out there immediately in providing food, you will see mass starvation, famines, and biblical
almost falling over green beans, tomatoes, and other produce due to lack of demand from restaurants and other commercial operations.
Forces David Beasley, the director of the World Food Program, says children are the hardest hit, with 10,000 more dying every month. The result? Millions of pounds of Florida tomatoes and squash were left to rot. In Idaho, farmers are putting out potato pyramids for people to take. In the Midwest, dairy farmers have dumped millions of gallons of milk. In many countries, no school means no food, leaving kids with weakened immune systems.
which means they can be vulnerable not just to COVID, malaria, diphtheria, cholera.
And the crisis will spread beyond the developing world, the UN warns, as hungry people the tomatoes that were ripe for harvesting.
So we've just been giving them away what we can, but we just simply have too much. People could be living off of what we have to throw away.
Move to survive.
Do you think COVID will lead to a new wave of mass migration coming from the United States? Well, there's no question in my mind you will see migration toward the U.S. border.
The World Food Program is urgently calling for $4.9 billion to stop COVID-related hunger.
This report is because of a lack of a federal plan to distribute the food.
The AI is becoming advanced so fast that you're not even gonna need cash anymore. You're not gonna need your smartphone. It's all gonna be done through face recognition. This all just gives them what they wanted for a long time now. They want the entire world to be under the same financial system. And the UN's gonna be playing a major part in this. I mean, it's still all the same players, you know. Bill Gates is funding the UN. So we're supposedly into the second wave now, and mandatory masks. I mean, this is not gonna stop. This game's just beginning. They got the whole world stopped right now. And that is a big accomplishment all in itself, and that goes to show you right there that the same people are running the whole world. And of course, always the same story. We did it all for you. The people around us need to be woken up. If this knowledge doesn't reach critical mass soon, we're all gonna be suffering the same exact fate. We outnumber them so greatly that they're gonna have to use us to police ourselves. So instead of banding together like we need to, they're just gonna have people, telling on each other with this contact tracing crap. This has been such a well thought out plan, but they're just moving on with the second wave. It's gonna be all about us, protecting us, and everybody's gonna come up positive as long as they keep testing, because they're just testing for RNA viruses, and all the deaths that they're keeping us in fear about aren't even COVID deaths. And this is not just happening one place. They are rolling this out worldwide, everywhere. And they keep running this testing always in our face, when the fact is everybody's gonna come up positive for it. Hit by a truck? Nope. It was COVID-19. They're marking every death down now for it. And they already got vaccinations and human trials when researchers have admitted that they don't even have the virus isolated yet. And as long as they're pressing for testing, they can just keep making this look worse and worse. It's just going to stay a rigged game as long as everybody they test keeps coming up positive. And it's already been exposed that engine oil comes up positive. The second wave is just going to be as big of a crock of shit as the first wave. When anybody they test is coming up positive, I mean, how hard is it going to be to sell everybody on a second wave? And there's never going to be one, because fact of the matter is, there's no pandemic. This all just leads right towards the surveillance state that they want to set up. They're coming with this COVID pass now. And you're going to have to show this to go travel anywhere. And they're setting a lot of the criteria for this up, mostly in third world countries that don't enjoy the freedoms that we do. In Africa, they call it the trust pad, to make sure you've been vaccinated. And they're saying it's going to be a vaccination record and payment system, which is what they've been trying to do for a long time also. They're going to have to get rid of all that dirty money that has COVID on it. Facial scans, biometric scans is just going to be able to replace all the money. And the credit cards, you're just going to be able to just pay with your face. And if you haven't got this vaccination that they're forcing on everybody, you're not going to be able to get into the store anyway. And they expect to have this whole system in place by 2025, all being ran under the new AI. That's what they're coming with. Basically, the way AI is going to work is AI is going to be taking control for itself.
All throughout the world in lockdown, countless businesses forced to close and going bankrupt, and social distancing from the COVID-19 invisible enemy, the new normal game. This is unprecedented in the world's history. The politicians are doing the same exact thing as they do when they get us into war. The governments are closing down entire economies. They and the media have declared fighting the virus a war. And just as they take us to war after war with no exit strategy, so too their lockdown war strategy has started the greatest depression with no exit strategy that can stop the global economy from crashing. We are going to see crime levels going off the charts, as the little people cannot pay the rent and bills. These politicians are all telling us what to do because they do not have to worry about getting paid. They steal our money in the name of taxes. You cannot put millions out of work and not expect this thing to explode in a way we have never seen before in history. This thing was going down before. They only pumped up the equity market with trillions of dollars created out of thin air. The world is being led into the age of biological terror with controlled demolition of the economy that is already causing unprecedented carnage across markets and around the globe. Instead of fixing the broken healthcare system, we would rather kill off the people who need it most. This is Agenda 21 unfolding in front of our eyes. The Fed will be the government to the government. We are being played and robbed. 21 or Agenda 2030 is the United Nations depopulation plan to kill us. The global cabal of UN Agenda 21 is behind global warming, regionalism, zoning, land and water use control, wealth redistribution, weakening, and eventual replacement of the dollar as the world's reserve currency. And now in 2020 we are witnessing martial law in countries around the world due to a manufactured disease. Mass mandatory vaccines will be here soon. People will be begging for a vaccine. This is a war against the people. This is unfolding before our eyes. It has all been manipulated to change life dramatically as we know it. The dots are connecting now and faster than ever, and the picture looks ugly. Agenda 21 will reduce the human population from almost 8 billion to around 750 million.
See, they want this AI to be for more than just, controlling and corralling human beings. They're just wanting human consciousness to go a certain way. And what way would that be? And And then you may ask yourself, who is they? They is now AI. And we're all thinking that artificial intelligence has to emerge, but the fact is, it's already emerged. They're basically creating a system that everybody is going to be dependent on artificial intelligence. We're going to be dependent on it for everything, to even go outside, get a meal. It's going to control all of our money. And everything's just going to be geared toward and depend on this new world that they're creating. And the politicians and people that set this up probably didn't really bargain for what they're really going to be getting. And the whole economy is going to crash in a big way. And then they're going to be right to blame it on, oh, it was because of COVID-19. That's just going to be right there to blame, oh, we're in this position because of COVID-19. We didn't know how bad it was going to be. They knew. They're just trying to come up with an excuse for what they've already done to us. They're going to claim, oh, it wasn't us. It was, because of COVID-19. Everything's going to be fully autonomic and ran by this new AI. A lot's going to change. How we deal with the internet, everything we do. We've already got to about that point now. We passed the point of no return. We're so dependent on our smartphones now for everything we do. And this is only going to get worse. All the decision making is going to be done by the AI itself. So it's going to be the one basically making the call on who gets to access the internet and who don't. And pretty much everything is going to be run by it. And everyone who can and can't use it. That's why we got to be ready to step outside and be able to do something else if it goes down like this. And by 2025, you're going to have to be ready to step outside of the system. The next 5 years coming up are going to be very, very telling. There's totally going to be a reconstruction of everything as we know it. And no one's getting out of it. The whole world is going to be put through this. So the time to stand up and be angry about this isn't going to be 5 years from now. And if we're not going to do that, all we can really do is get prepared for the future. If it's not changed, we're not going to have much of a choice other than to go along with everyone else and play the hand that we've dealt ourselves. And it'll be too late at that point to get back into some kind of relationship with the earth. So coming up are the 9 main things that Agenda 21 in the United Nations is all about. So you can't say that you weren't warned.
Someone had said to you in December that by April, millions of people all over the world would be infected with a mysterious new virus that has no vaccine. You'd think they were talking about a Hollywood script. It's happened so fast, it almost doesn't seem real.
A new normal.
A new normal.
A new normal. A new normal. New normal.
The new normal. New normal?
The new normal. New normal. This new normal is going to look very, very different. Not normal, but a new normal. The new normal.
New normal. There will be a new normal.
The array of technologies, often referred to collectively as geoengineering, that potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change. One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI, a method of seeding the stratosphere with particles that can help reflect the sun's heat, in much the same way that volcanic eruptions do.
Is about control. Control of the land, natural resources, and entire populations. It seeks to control the air by regulation of carbon emissions, the ground by sustainable development, and the sea through environmental regulations. Officially stated, Agenda 21 is a comprehensive plan of action to be taken globally nationally and locally by organizations of the United Nations system, governments, and major groups in every area in which human impacts on the environment. Because being human will always have an impact on the environment, Agenda 21 paves the way for extraordinary UN control. When you boil it down, there are 9 basic tenets of Agenda 21. Move citizens off private land and into urban housing. Create vast wilderness spaces inhabited by large carnivores. Eliminate cars and create walkable cities. Support chosen private funds for sustainable development. Make policy decisions that favor the greater good over individuals. Drastically reduce the use of power, water, and anything else that creates carbon pollution. Use bureaucracies to make sweeping decisions outside of democratic processes. Increase taxes, fees, and regulations.
To a relationship with the earth.
If someone had said to you in December,
I think it all just boils down to this. We have outlived our usefulness. I mean, they needed us around all the time they had us around to be slaves, basically. And now they're going to have AI and robots for that. I imagine the only ones that's going to be allowed to be left around is just ones, for their entertainment, basically.
In this video, we are going to look at the most advanced humanoid, industrial, and service robots that are changing the future with the help of artificial intelligence. Digit is envisioned to assist with disaster response and deliver packages to friend groups. Digit can navigate complex environments and carry out tasks such as package delivery. Develop a last-mile logistics solution that combines forth autonomous vehicle technology and agility's Digit. This is Pepper. Pepper is the world's first social humanoid robot that is able to recognize faces and basic human emotions. Pepper has been adopted by over 2,000 companies around the world. Pepper can also gather comprehensive data to enrich the customer base and generate shopper insights. This is Atlas, the world's most dynamic humanoid robot. Thanks to its state-of-the-art hardware and algorithm that allows it to quickly understand instructions. The robot can perform both impressive and terrifying acts. All these activities demonstrate human-level agility, so the robot can be perfect for search and survive. Introducing Spot, a robot dog designed for industrial uses and inspecting a remote site with an unfavorable environment for human operators. It can run at 5.2 feet per second and can operate at temperatures ranging from 4 to 113 degrees Fahrenheit. With its API and flexible payload interface, the robot can be easily customized for desired tasks. An advanced humanoid robot designed to operate autonomously and carry out heavy labor in hazardous conditions, full-body motion planning and control, and task description and execution management. The Institute has created 4 other robots, which are the predecessor of HRV-5. Introducing Serena, the 4th generation of Serena humanoid robot series, developed by the University of Tehran in Iran. With a height of 5.6 feet and a weight of 154 pounds, this robot is able to walk at a speed of 0.43 miles per hour before hesitant interaction with the environment. With these enhancements, the robot can manipulate a wide variety of objects, including helicopters, as well as operating power tools. Aquanaut can inspect subsea oil and gas infrastructure, operate valves, and use tools. Operating completely untethered and without support ships, Aquanaut can travel more than 124 miles in submarine mode, has a max speed of 7 knots, and a maximum operational depth of 984 feet. This is a Stuntronic robot, an animatronic stunt double designed to entertain the crowds at Disney parks. It combines advanced robotic technology with the exploration of untethered dynamic mode to precisely perform aerial flips, twists, and poses. With its onboard sophisticated sensors, it can make its own real-time decisions, all while flying 60 feet in the air. It knows when to tuck its knees to perform a somersault, when to pull its arms to twist, and even when to slow down and spin to make sure it makes a perfect landing. This robot is called C.O.N. With its deep learning vision software, this robot can autonomously identify and locate boxes, unload trucks, palletize and depalletize them. It can pick up to 360 boxes an hour. Its swinging tail helps it balance movements and counterbalance the weight of a heavy box. The 2 wheels are used for fast and efficient flat surface movement, while the legs are used to take it anywhere.
Somewhere between 10 and...
What? Untergang. Im Schnee und Alkohol.